Hey, how you all going? It's Jai, that Aussie metal guy here with Crannk.com, and tonight I'm having a chat with Dane Campbell, drummer for Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons, who are due to release their second full-length album, We're the Bastards, November 13th through Nuclear Blast Records. Dane, cheers for making some time to chat with me, man, and congratulations on the album. I actually got to listen to it this morning, man. I jumped in the car and drove around for like 2 hours with this blaring dude by myself, and it just absolutely rocked, man. I really enjoyed the heck out of it.
Oh, that's amazing, man. That's so good to hear because I haven't had much feedback from people yet because not many people have heard it yet. So you're very lucky. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I really loved it. I picked up so many different moments. The guitar riffing is really good. Your drumming, just everything. The points where the harmonica kicks in. I'll talk about those tracks as well, dude. But it must have been a real different experience making this album this time around compared to the Age of Absurdity. Especially not only with everything going on, but it must have been a little bit easier as well too.
Well, in some ways, it was more difficult because when we were in the studio, it was during like the strict lockdown in the UK.
Yep.
So we were only in the studio 2 people at a time. So we were never in the studio all together as a band.
Yep.
So it was kind of weird because we couldn't get like full feedback from everyone as we were playing, if you know what I mean. So we just had to go with what felt right. And then just decide between the 2 of us, yeah, that's a take, we'll keep that, rather than get the feedback from the band there and then. So, yeah, that was the hardest part. But in a way, I think maybe it allowed me to express what I wanted to play more without being influenced by the rest of the band. But yeah, it was a good experience, and we weren't rushed with time. We had we did have a deadline we were aiming for, but we allowed ourselves, a few months. Well, I think 2 months. I think we allowed us to do the whole thing. So,
okay.
But I did my 4 days or 5 days. It didn't take long.
Yep. So how did you approach a songwriting then before you got in the studio?
Yeah, luckily we'd written most of it before the COVID thing really started. So we were writing it together without our singer Neil. Actually, I think that was the original plan. We normally come up with the kind of music side of things without him anyway.
Yeah.
That's what we did the first album Within Reason. I think he was there for a few sessions, but I think he finds it easy just to get given a song given an instrumental song, and then it allows him to kind of do what he wants over the top. That's kind of how we did the first album ish. But like I said, he was there on that album for a few sessions, and then I think he decided he was kind of just standing there, not doing much while we were just figuring out riffs and patterns. So it worked well. So we did some really rough demos of the songs, like literally recorded on our phones, sent him the songs, like really rough copies. So he was able to write his own lyrics and melodies then before coming into the studio. So I didn't hear any of his vocals until I had the first mixes back. So I didn't have a clue what to expect. So from a songwriting point of view, in terms of like writing my drum parts, yeah, it is kind of difficult because as a drummer, I really don't like getting in the way of the other instruments and the vocals. So it was difficult because I didn't really know what the vocals were going to be. There are a few little moments when I listen back and I'm like, that's a shame because he sung over that part, or like he sung over like a drum fill or something.
Yeah.
But if I knew he was going to sing there, I wouldn't have done the fill, if you know what I mean. But like, I guess that's the one disadvantage from doing it that way. And it was too late to really change what I'd done.
Yeah. So can you tell me a little bit about the kit you were using for this album and the setup you got going?
Yeah, man. I use the German brand Sona or Sona. I don't know how you pronounce it. I say Sona. I think the Germans say Sona. But I've got it's an S Classics kit, birch shell kit. I don't normally use it live, but I use it for this recording session. And yeah, it sounds great. Big 24-inch kick drum. We used a few different snare drums. One of the snare drums we used on, I think, about half the album in the end was an old 80s Sona rack tom, a 14-inch rack tom that I had converted into a snare drum a few years ago.
Yep.
So it's a big, massive, fat, deep thing, and we used that quite a lot, which was really cool. It was an 80s beach shell snare, so we ended up using that a lot, and I didn't expect to use that, but Todd, who's my brother, who also plays guitar in the band, recorded the album. He kind of liked how that sounded, so we went with that a lot.
Yeah, well, you just got to record it at Todd's studio over there in Wales as well, eh?
Yeah, that's where we did it. Yeah, so that's like about 30 minutes away from where I live. So it's nice and convenient. You can all get there within 30 minutes, I guess. Pretty convenient, and obviously we're not restricted to times because it's his studio, so we're not like paying daily rates or anything. So it saved a lot of money as well by doing it that way.
Yeah, and then having only two of you in the studio at the time, it would have been a little kind of juggling time as well, and it would have been pushing it if you're going with other studios, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true. I think we were very productive with the time we had because we normally have a laugh, but if all five of us were there, I'm sure we would have wasted more time talking about other crap and having a joke. But yeah, we were really productive, really.
Yeah.
I definitely would do that again, and if Todd was up for it, obviously it's harder work for him. He's producing it and doing all the technical stuff, which I don't know much about. But if he's happy to do another one that way, I definitely would. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, well, it has such a great sound. I want to ask about that track Desert Song. I'm leaping ahead of myself here, but that song kind of really resonated with me as I was driving on the road today. I know something about that track, man. I really enjoyed it, eh?
Yeah, that was an interesting one, and I think it definitely stands out on the album a lot. I think that particular song and another song that is probably my favorite, called Born to Roam, they stand out. They kind of have that Southern American vibe, I guess.
Yep.
Which I guess definitely been influenced by a lot of that stuff. I think everyone who's into rock and roll, I guess, essentially has probably come across a lot of that Southern rock stuff. Yeah, and that's the track with the harmonica on, right? So that's Todd's playing that.
Yep.
Which is cool. I think it was a few years ago, and I was working in a music store, and he mentioned in passing, I wouldn't mind, trying to learn how to play harmonica. So I bought him a harmonica set for Christmas one year, and then, like, within a few months, he was playing it like really well. I thought to a standard that I didn't expect for someone to be able to achieve in that short space of time. So it's good that it's come to use, and he played on one of the tracks on the first album as well. So it's good that he's using it, and it's making it on our record. So that helps together.
It's funny you mentioned Born to Roam, because I had that track right there. I had Desert Song, Born to Roam, and I love the way it ended on Waves as well. That final track on the album was really, really kind of cool, the way it ended it as well.
Ah, cool. That's nice to know. Yeah, I guess it's definitely was written as, we want to stick this on the end of the album. I think that was obviously I think it started with the riff. Most of the songs start with a riff, and then we build a structure around it. And then it got to that point. Oh, this has got to be an ending song, so let's make it a big ending song. But yeah, that's cool. It's cool that you've picked those ones, I guess, a little bit more creative from our perspective, and a less kind of rock and roll, less Motorheady sounds.
Yeah,
so that's cool. Nice that you appreciate those. So thank you.
No, I really did appreciate them, and it was good to see these different aspects, and you're not afraid to grow and evolve as musicians as well. I really enjoyed the heck out of Where the Bastards album was, and it's definitely one of those ones you could put in your car. Like I said, I put in the car and drove around for 2 hours, hit the country roads because I'm in country South Australia, and I just had this album cranking, and it was just so good. Those tracks just really resonated with me while I was on the road,
Perfect. That's great. That's great to hear. And I actually went running with it on the other day, and it was in a funny order because I don't have the full playlist on my phone yet because I can't be bothered. But it was great. It was great running music. I imagine. Yeah, I've driven to it a few times. Yeah, it's great. It's great for that. And that's cool, man. I'm glad you're liking it.
Yeah, I like the way you've been a little inventive as well with the singles, considering the film clips, I mean, and the singles, the way, because you can't really kind of get all together and get a full film crew and, you know, what I mean, do the usual film clips you were doing, you know, with the lyric video as well for Bite My Tongue and The Son of a Gun. We're using like a big warehouse for that one?
Well, Son of a Gun, yeah, that was when, well, in the UK, the rules had relaxed a little bit.
Yeah.
But we were still, you know, we were still a little bit concerned, and my dad was a little bit concerned at the time because he's a bit older than us.
Yeah.
So we had a small film crew down for that. But yeah, it was an old farm. It was an old barn on a farm in the middle of Wales. So really, really rural. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was the film guys that found that as an
Yep.
option. And yeah, there was literally just behind that barn, there was like a load of chickens and stuff like that. Pretty smelly barn. But yeah, it looks kind of cool. And I'm glad we got to do that because it's probably going to be the only video
Where
with
you're
us
together.
actually. Yeah, with us all together. And again, we filmed it all separately. We were all there, but we filmed each other separately. So
Yep.
we're not all performing together. And I don't know. We're just being super safe, man. And
Yeah, it's the way to be, though. I think, you know, everyone try and, you know, do the right thing, stay safe, take care, and look after the people in our family as well. If you know exactly what I mean. So
well, exactly. I think because we're all family, I think we're a little bit more protective of each other than maybe other bands who are just a bunch of mates are. And obviously, with my dad being older, it's kind of
yeah,
like, well, we've really got to protect him, and we don't want to put him in any predicaments or situations where he's not comfortable. So
yeah,
it looks cool. I'm really happy with what they did with the kind of basic setting, and
yeah. Who done your
I think
artwork?
our artwork, yeah, the artwork
Yeah,
was done by a guy from Wales. Again, he's an old friend of mine. He plays drums, used to play band. So it's good to kind of use local talent and people we know. But he did our first album's artwork as well, The Age of Absurdity. So we did all that. He's got a really unique style. He kind of hand draws everything, and then he kind of digitalizes it. I think I don't really know how it all works, but
yeah,
yeah, he's got his own specific style. It's kind of dark, but we kind of give him a brief, we said like kind of medieval kind of fantasy brief. I don't know if do you know the show? It's a British show called Blackadder. Do you get that in
yeah. Oh,
Australia?
dude, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. We have a lot of the same shows being used over there in the UK and us in Australia. Definitely a lot of the same humour. I grew up watching Blackadder and all of that. Monty Python and the
Yeah,
English.
yeah,
What was our thing?
yeah. I think that like I grew up. Oh, sorry, my phone made a noise. Let me turn. Yeah, so we grew up watching that kind of stuff. My dad grew up watching Monty Python, and yeah, it was kind of the brief was like some of the clothes that we're wearing. I was like, I'm kind of want it to be like the Blackadder season 1.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that one, and then I think my dad's costume was inspired by um, the Blackadder's costume on there, and I'm a bit of a geek at heart, and I said, I don't know, the other kind of thing I've got in mind is like the Terry Pratchett Discworld
Yep.
books. I don't know if you get them, but like they might
Yeah.
be a different publisher in Australia. I don't know, but when I had the books when I was a kid, there was all this really cool cartoony hand drawn artwork, and I was I sent him some of those pictures as influences for his style. But yeah, he's got such a cool style anyway. You can kind of tell it's him. If you look at his other artwork, he does a lot of t-shirts for like wrestlers as well, like pro wrestlers, American wrestlers, and he's got into that world somehow, and he's done artwork for other bands. But yeah, he's just an old friend that I used to play local gigs with, and he's a drummer in a band, and he's kind of a freelance artist now. His name's Matt Wrist. Should mention his name. So check him out.
Yeah, yeah. It looks really, really cool, and I figured it'd be the same artist because it has that little styling as well, and the emblem up the top there, and it just looks so good, man, with the candles and everything. It come out really good.
Nice, glad. Cool.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
but I think I was going to say that was partly why it was like the first album looked so great, so we didn't really even think of going with anyone else. It was like, well, let's see if Matt's available, and
yeah. Well, that Ages of Absurdity album, that was so eye-catching. I even remember when that come out, and like it was not. I didn't even see the name at first. When I seen Phil Campbell, I'm like, yeah, cool. I've got to listen to this. But that artwork was one of the first things that really grabs you on that first album. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, fortunately, a lot of our fans are still into buying vinyls and records and stuff. Because I guess there's still that element of that older audience that we do have. So when they buy the vinyls, it looks so good in print. It looks so good.
Oh, yeah.
I grew up buying CDs and stuff like that, and everything's really small. But when they bring like vinyls for us to sign at shows, I kind of like get carried away looking at the artwork, because I've got my own copy, but I kept the shield. I don't know if that sounds bad, but I kept the shield, my own copy. So
Yeah.
I never really had time to look through the inside. And I probably do the same with
I was
an album.
like you though. I grew up with CDs, and I've come back to records now. I'm a bit older, and I find that people from the rock and metal and punk genres are more likely to spend that money on, vinyl and merch and supporting bands like yourself as well.
Yeah, well, we're so glad of that, because it's one of the main things keeping us going, really, especially this year. We can't play gigs. We can't play any shows. We literally haven't done one show all year,
Yeah.
which isn't surprising, I suppose. It's not surprising, but
And that's the thing I'm going to quickly bring up as well, just because people can't get along to gigs, they can still support Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons. And I mean, get along and buy merch, buy vinyl like we're just mentioning, not just hit the like and subscribe and follow on Spotify, because it's like 1,000 listens to make, $1. And it's not even viable for artists. You're giving away music. So to really support the scene, you've got to head over and buy merch, chuck in a pre-order for Where the Bastards, which comes out on the 13th of November. This album is so bloody good. It's definitely up there as one of my top hard rock albums of the year. Dane, this has been an absolute pleasure, mate. I'm going to let you get about the rest of your night before we sign out. Do you have any last words or shout outs you want to quickly add in?
No problem, man. Thanks. I'm so glad you like the album anyway. And yeah, like you said, it's still available to pre-order now worldwide. We've got a Music Glue page where we're doing signed copies. So I think that's the only place you can get signed copies of the album. And we're doing bundles and discounted bundles, and there's a tankard for beer and stuff. So some cool items that fit in with the album. But yeah, just thanks for everyone for the support, and hopefully we can get down to Australia someday. It would be amazing. It'd be one of my dreams. Because I had a vacation with my wife in Australia last year, and it was literally my best experience ever. So I just want to come back. So it'd be great to play some shows. So I guess snag all your promoters and festival organizers to book us. And I know it's a long way for us to come, but if we can make it happen, we would definitely come.
I don't think it'd be that hard to get some promoters behind Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons, that's for sure. Everyone grab Where the Bastards, crank it loud, because as I always say, the neighbours are going to hear this one as well. Dane, thank you very much, mate. You have a lovely night.
No problem at all, mate. Thank you. And you.
Cheers, mate.
Bye now. Good day. Cheers.